Hi, Cima candidates, enterprise operations, Cima Revision for November 2014 exams. Just I want to make a quote by former boxing champion Muhammad Ali. I hated every minute of training, but I said don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. When you take exams, when you are studying, you will have to sacrifice a couple of leisure hours. But at the end of the day, once you are done with the exam, you can enjoy your life, the rest of your life. Now we'll go to quickly syllabus content of enterprise operations, the global business environment, information systems, operations management, marketing, and managing human capital. Each topic has 20% of syllabus weightage. So when you study, you must pay equal attention on each of the topics. We'll quite quickly go to assessment strategy. That is how your exam paper is structured. Section A, 10 MCQs, 20 marks, one each 2 marks. Section B, 6 short answer questions, each of 5 marks, so total 30 marks. Section C, 2 scenario-based questions, each 25 marks, so total 50 marks. Now, let me tell you this. If you want to succeed in the exam, out of this section A, B, and C, you will have to give more attention, more focus on section C. The reason, section A and section B, generally any candidate, even a weak candidate, will be generally scoring up to 30, 35 marks. But the problem is, from section C, gaining 15 marks is becoming a challenge. Section A and B, now I did a small study. The candidates who got through the exams and candidates who came down the exams. When I did that, generally section A and section B, they have performed equally. In other words, their marks are almost same, more around 30 to 35. But the candidate who succeeded in the exam, the candidate who got through in the exam, could gain more than 15 to 20 marks so that he ensured he got through the exams. On the other hand, the candidate who failed the exam suffered and could not manage to secure around minimum 15 marks. They ended up in 5 to 10 marks. So my point is, generally any candidate will gain from section A and B, which is 50 marks, they will gain, out of 50, they will gain more than 30 to 35. So if you can ensure that you are going to gain 20 marks from section C, you are done with the exam. I'll repeat, if you can gain around 20 marks from section C, you will comfortably get through the exam. But it's really a challenging point. The reason, they are not testing your knowledge directly. Section A and section B would be testing your knowledge directly. Section A, MCQs, they will be asking you to choose the correct answer. Section B, they will be asking you to, a short answer question, asking you to give 5 points. For example, what are the five advantages of international trade? What are the 5 methods of protectionism, etc. So it's directly, if you know the if you know the textbook, if you have gone through the textbook. So it is just matter of that copy and pasting. But on the other hand, scenario-based question, it is requiring you to apply your knowledge to the scenario given in the exam. So it is not directly testing your knowledge. Your knowledge should be there, but your knowledge, using that knowledge, you are going to develop an answer for the scenario. They may be giving you a scenario. A scenario may be large or small. So in the scenario, they will be giving you a company or a problem or issue faced by the company. So then they will ask how to solve this problem, so, or how problem arisen. So you will be asked that. So you using a particular theory, model you have studied in your study text, you will have to develop its own answer. That is what we call application. So focus more on section C. If you can focus more on section C, if you can gain comfortably around 20 marks, you will easily get through the exam. So that is my first message. So I will be today focusing on how to develop a better answer on section C. Later we will see how we can develop an answer for section B, and later how we can deal with section A. So we'll go to this section C. So section C is important, which is deciding whether you are going to succeed in the exam or not. So section C, we will be focusing, and I will giving you some suggestion tips where you can secure at least 20 marks so that you ensure you are getting through the exam. So now we will go through one theory area, which is from global business environment, cultural dimensions developed by Hofstede. So Professor Geert Hofstede is a Dutch social psychologist and former IBM employee. When he was working in IBM, he did a study. What are the factors that led to the difference between cultures? Why Asian culture is different to European culture? What are the main factors which is distinguishing those two cultures? So he developed a cultural dimension. So I will go through quickly that. Cultural dimensions developed by Hofstede: individualism, masculinity, power distance, and uncertainty avoidance. Those are the four main, his original model. Later in 1990s period, they added time orientation. Later, very recently, I think in 2010, they added indulgence. So we will go through quickly how this theory is working. First, individualism versus collectivism. First cultural dimension is developed by Hofstede is individualism versus collectivism. And in individualist cultures, people are expected to develop and display their individual personalities and choose their own affiliations. For example, USA, UK, they are individualist societies. In collectivist cultures, people are defined mostly as member of long-term groups such as family, religious group, etc. For example, most of the Asian countries, China, India, even Sri Lanka. Now, in individualist societies, most of the European countries, they are expected to take decisions individually. In other words, maybe your career, maybe your personal life, anything, you are expected to take decision by yourself. You take decision by yourself. If you look at the buffet system, which came from USA, so ideally represent the individualistic American culture. You go to a buffet, you eat whatever you want, you eat however much you want. There is none to guide you or suggest you or help you there. So that is ideally representing individualist culture. You have to take your own decisions. Whereas in collectivist cultures, we take decisions as a group. For example, if you are, let's say you are going to get married, then you will first discuss with your parents. Then after you will discuss with your siblings, your other family members. We take decisions as a group. Generally, in collectivist cultures, they live together, and the bonds would be more strong. So then we go to the second dimension, masculinity versus femininity. In masculine cultures, people value assertiveness, competitiveness, material success, self-centeredness, power, strength, and individual achievements. For example, USA and Germany. In feminine cultures, people value nurturance, sensitivity, modesty, and concern for others. For example, Denmark, Sweden, and other Scandinavian countries. In masculine cultures, people respect, admire. The people respect and admire features of traditional men. Traditional men features are courage, bravery, focus on power, assertiveness, competitiveness, ambition. So those features will be admired. Those features would be respected. Those features that would be expected from an individual. For as thereof, in masculine societies, men would have these features, plus even women tend to have some of these features. They will have some traits which is related to masculinity. For example, if you look at Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State of USA, she has some masculine traits. She's brave, courageous, assertive. So that is what we call masculine society. And if you look at even Hollywood films, not only the hero, heroine also would be fighting, which is very unlikely in a Bollywood film. So if we come to feminine cultures, people, the features that are respected are the features of traditional women. Traditional women features are, they are modest, they are shy, they are caring others, they are nurturing others. So these features will be valued in such a society. So that is what we call feminine culture. So in these countries, not women have these features. Men also would be having certain these features which are caring, etc. So it's normal in Scandinavian countries, men run Montessori's. Then if you come to a third one, that is low versus high power distance. In cultures of low power distance, people expect and accept power relations that are consultative and democratic. For example, Denmark, Austria. In cultures of high power distance, less powerful members accept power relations that are autocratic and paternalistic. In Denmark and Austria, these countries, power relations, the power gap would be between employer and the subordinate would be less. They would be very close, like friends. On the other hand, in countries like India, the gap would be very high. So the manager would not be talking to the subordinate India. He will be commanding the decisions. He will. It is very difficult to be accessed. So that is in India. That is even you might have seen even in their movies when a manager, director, or a senior level employee is coming to organization, watchman is saluting. So that shows that there's a high power gap between the manager and subordinate, which is unlikely. And there will be like friends in low power distance cultures such as Denmark and Austria. Let's have a break. I'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. So we have been discussing third cultural dimension developed by Hofstede. We'll go to the first one, law versus high uncertain avoidance. In cultures of low uncertain avoidance, people prefer flexible rules, Denmark and Sweden. In cultures of high uncertain avoidance, people accept explicit and formal rules such as Japan and Greece. Now, in low uncertainty avoidance societies, people prefer flexible rules. They don't like more rules. And they like or they accept uncertainty. They are willing to face uncertainty. On the other hand, countries like Japan, they have high uncertain avoidance. They don't like uncertainty. They avoid uncertainty highly or less uncertainty. So low uncertainty avoidance means high uncertainty, whereas a high uncertainty avoidance means low uncertainty. So we go to the next dimension, short versus. Now I want to mention a thing. This is sometimes some candidates misunderstand uncertain avoidance means risk avoidance. It is not risk avoidance. It is separate. That is uncertain avoidance. So short versus long time orientation. In cultures of short time orientation, people expect rapid feedback from decisions, quick profits, etc. For example, USA, Canada. In cultures of long time orientation, people wait long time for feedback, work longer for organization, etc. For example, Japan and China. In USA, people expect quick feedback, quick results, so they will be working in an organization. So they're expecting quick promotions, quick salary increments. When they do not get it, they would be leaving the organization. It's very normal that in an organization, in a person in USA would have worked number of organizations during his her life. Whereas in Japanese culture, they expect results only after a long time. So they don't expect salary increments, promotion, etc. very quickly. So they would be working in organization for a long time. So if you ask a Japanese employee how many organizations you have worked during your life, he would say only one or two organizations. So that is what we call short versus long time orientation. The last one, indulgence versus restraint. This element was dimension was added very recently in 2010. So in the indulgent societies, there is a tendency to allow relatively free gratification of basic and natural human desires relating to enjoying life and having fun. For example, USA, UK, most of the European countries. In restrained societies, there is a conviction that such gratification need to be curbed and regulated by strict norms. For example, China and India. In USA, it's allowed, it's accepted that you can freely express your feelings. For a couple is walking in the street, they would be hugging, they would be cuddling. It's very normal, so it will not be looked at in a different way. But a country like China and India mainly, they are expected to regulate your feeling. That means you are expected to control your feeling. So it's very abnormal if you are in the street, if a couple is cuddling or hugging, it will be very abnormal. It's very difficult to see in a street in India. So that is indulgence versus restraint. In indulgent societies, we express our feelings freely, whereas in restrained societies, we have to control our feelings. We can't express them in public. So those are the 6 dimensions of Hofstede, dimension developed by Hofstede. So we will be going to now one past paper question. We are going to do section C. This is November 2013, question 3. Now here 5 points I have given. It's a long scenario. All the scenario cannot be brought here due to space restriction. So I picked main points which is related to this question, part B. We are going to 3 parts are there in this question. Question 3, A, B, C, 3 parts. We are going to do only B part. So whatever points related to B part, I have mentioned in the screen. So what my suggestion is, if you are going to exam, take a highlighter and highlight, when you are reading your scenario, highlight the main point. First you read the question requirement, highlight the main point, so that read carefully, read it again and understand the scenario. Then after you highlight and keep the main point, so that it will be unnecessary to read again once you started writing the answer. Now this question, we are going to do only part B. Explain using Hofstede thinking on culture how cultural tolerance could have allowed AK's power to grow. 10 marks question. We have to write substantially. So earlier also I mentioned gaining marks in section C is challenging. Mainly the reason that candidates fail to write enough. They give some 1 or 2, 3 main points, which is not sufficient to gain marks. So you have to illustrate your answer properly. Now let's read the question. OK for you is a diversified company operating in 2 continents. It's a diversified company which is in hotel, electronics, textile, etc. It's given in your scenario. IPP is a major rival company. Charges of robbery of millions of dollars are made against AK, who is chairman and chief executive of IPP. Share price of IPP falls and company collapses. One newspaper suggests that AK's individual power was able to grow due to cultural tolerance in the countries where IPP operated. So now the question is asking how AK's power grew. How AK's power grew. So what are the cultural factors which led to the growth of AK's power? Remember, question is not asking you to explain cultural dimensions. So read the question carefully. Question is not asking you to explain cultural dimensions. Rather, it is asking you to explain how AK's power grew and explain using Hofstede cultural model. Now, examiners' comments for this answer, generally answer to this question were undeveloped and too little time appeared to have been taken on the question. Lack of knowledge of topics were apparent in part B. Too little time is spent. You have not elaborated. You have not explained the answer. You have not illustrated the answer. You have given just outline 2-3 points, which is not sufficient to give you marks. Now, if we go to post-exam guide, this is post-exam guide. Briefly explain Hofstede's thinking using the dimension of culture as a framework. Explain the growth of AK's power. Explanation of Hofstede work including 4 dimensions. So the examiner is expecting you to explain the original model, that is 4 dimensions. Uncertain avoidance, clear explanation and linkage to scenario. Masculinity versus femininity, clear explanation linked to a scenario. Individualism versus collectivism, clear explanation and linkage to scenario. Power distance, clear explanation and linkage to scenario. Other valid issues, example long versus short-term orientation, and indulgence versus restraint. Up marks 1 to 3 marks each. Now here the marks are awarded for you. Mainly you are awarded marks, candidate is awarded marks linking your answer to the scenario, not explaining the cultural dimensions developed by Hofstede. We will talk in detail about that. Let's have a break. I'll be right back. Right, we have been, we'll come back. We have been discussing about post-exam guide. Now here, 4 marks given for explanation of Hofstede cultural dimensions, maximum 4 marks. So if you explain Hofstede cultural dimension, the maximum you can gain is 4 marks. I am skepticistic you will gain 4 marks for that, because examiner is not interested in knowing about cultural dimension explained by you, but he is very interested in knowing how you are going to explain how AK's power grew. What are the factors, cultural factors, which led AK powers to grow? So, the more marks will be given to application. So we will see how we are going to apply to the scenario. Now, look at these are the points I could note which are leading to a weak answer. Not reading the scenario, because when you see cultural dimension, you try to explain everything about cultural dimension developed by Hofstede. But that is not the question. Question is asking you to explain how AK's power grow using cultural dimension. Question is not asking you to explain cultural dimension. Not reading the question requirement. Question requirement is read the question requirement always, once, twice, thrice, and number of times read and understand what question is asking you. Don't be fooled by some terms called cultural dimension. So I'm going to write everything I know about cultural dimensions. So your facts may be correct, but you will not gain marks. The reason that is not the question requirement. Question requirement is asking you to explain how AK's power grew, and question is asking you to explain that using cultural dimension. So not understand the verb in question. Question asks you to explain, not list or define. Explain is a second level verb, whereas list and define first level verb. So you had to focus on that as well. You had to consider that. Not writing enough. This is the most of the situation. This is the comments given by the examiner that candidates don't write enough for section C. So 10 marks question. There is no standard how much you have to write, but I would suggest you to at least write 1.5 page. You must illustrate properly that you must illustrate properly, in this case, how AK's power grew. Not writing enough, then referring to wrong company. Now, here AK worked in IPP, not OK for you. So if you refer to OK for you company, so you will not gain any marks because you have not understood the question. So understand which company who is working. They are talking about which company. Only explaining the Hofstede cultural dimensions. That is not the question. Question is asking you to explain how AK's power grew using cultural dimension, not explaining cultural dimension. So the main thing is, when you are reading the question in section C, spend more time reading and understanding the question. So that will enable you to develop a good answer. Read and understand what examiner is asking for, what he is expecting from you. Don't explain all what you know. Then not related to scenario, or no contextualization, provide irrelevant points to the required of the question, example of countries, companies, cultures, etc. So unless they are required for examples, it's not necessary to give examples. Sometimes you can give examples for value addition, but you don't focus on giving examples and explaining your examples. Then polarizing the answer on certain terms. For example, culture, for example, when you see this is a question about culture, you explain everything you know about culture. But that is not the question requirement. Because of that, you will not gain marks for that. Poor time management, you are not spending enough time on this. That's our main comment by examiner. The candidate don't explain enough time on managing, developing section C answers. You must spend enough time, sufficient time on section C. 10 marks mean around 18 minutes should be spent. 1 mark mean 1.8 minutes. Now we will go to this common myth. Why candidates fail the exam? The common myth is main or only reason for failing your exam is lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge is not main or only reason failing the exam. So studies show that there are main 5 reasons for why your candidate failed at the exam. Out of those 5, lack of knowledge is not one of them. That means some other reason, not related to scenario, not understanding the question, those are the reasons. So, lack of knowledge is not the main reason to fail your exam. So, focus on how to develop a better answer rather than, in addition to gaining knowledge. Now, how to develop a good answer? To develop a good answer, following steps should be followed. Read the question, understand the question, and answer the question. Of course, we know this. Read the question, understand the question, and answer the question. What's new in this? The new novelty in this is reading and understanding the question will not give you marks directly. Therefore, any EO candidate's tendency is writing. Because writing only will give you marks. So the problem is, if you write irrelevant things, even though your facts are correct, you will not gain marks. Therefore, read and understand the question. Spend more time on reading and understanding the question. Spend more time on reading and understanding the question. Around 1/3 of time can be spent reading and understanding the question. So read and understand the question. And then develop a better answer. So don't immediately answer the question. Because the problem is, if you have not understood the question, then your answer become useless. Therefore, read and understand and go for a better answer. Then answering the question, these are how we are going to answer the question. When you are answering C-style question, always use paragraph forms. It's preferred, and no need to say 1, 2, 3, etc. Like here, it's I have given here for you to understand. First, you can define the culture, then introduction to the issue. Don't rewrite the scenario, whatever given in the scenario. Keyword introduction to the issue, then introduction to Hofstede cultural dimensions. Then explain individualism versus collectivism and contextualize or relate to scenario. Explain masculinity versus femininity and contextualize or relate to scenario. Explain law versus high power distance and contextualize. Explain law versus high uncertain avoidance and contextualize. So, if you are given explained about short versus long time orientation and indulgence versus restraint and contextualize, you would gain marks unless your marks are not sufficient to be equal to 10 marks. So it's optional. So this is how we are going to answer the question. Now, first define the culture. So you don't need to write define the culture, you directly define the culture. So you can write the culture is sum of total of beliefs, knowledge, attitudes, norms, and customs that prevail in an organization or country. So then introduction to the issue. So it's just you can give an introduction. IPP is okay for you. The rival company IPP is in trouble after investigation revealed that AK chairman and chief executive misused power and now faces charges of theft. It is claimed that AK's power within IPP was allowed to grow partly because of cultural tolerance within the country in which the company operated. Culture has a great impact on attitudes to work, authority, etc. Let's have a break. I'll be right back. So we have been discussing how to develop a good answer. These are the facts we are going to mention in the answer. So define the culture, introduction to the issue, then we go to introduction to the Hofstede cultural dimensions. So introduction to the Hofstede cultural dimensions, yet Hofstede's work can potentially help explain the importance of national culture for operation of large firms such as IPP operating in a number of countries. Hofstede research which he did in IBM identified a framework of dimension which he argued largely accounted for cross-cultural differences. So it's just a brief introduction is given. No need to rewrite the scenario. Don't rewrite the scenario. So just introduction to given to add value to your answer. Next, we got to explain individualism versus collectivism and contextualize. So, in individualist cultures, people are expected to develop and display their individual personalities and choose their own affiliations. Example countries would be USA and UK. In collectivist cultures, people are defined mostly as a member of long-term group, such as family, religious group, etc. For example, China and India. Now, here what we are going to discuss is it individualism or is it collectivism which led AK's power to grow? And we have to explain it logically. That is what expected. So if you have really understood the theory, you must be able to develop the answer. Now, if there is a high degree of individualism in society, then self-reliance, autonomy, and individual achievement is valued. In the case of IPP, AK is described as high-profile, entrepreneurial, autonomous individual and would be regarded as a high achiever. Certainly, there would be societal acceptance of this position in countries where individualism dimension is high, possibly even respect. This attitude would have allowed AK to grow his power. So what is explained is, if a IPP company is operating in an individualist country, then individualism characters, individualism will be respected. Courage, bravery, ambition, assertiveness. So these are the features, competitiveness, these are the features are respected. So AK will have those features and that will be respected. Even it will allow AK to take decision individually without consulting subordinates, so that his power will grow, which is unlikely in a collectivist society, because in collectivist society AK would be expected to be more caring, sharing person. He will be expected to discuss before taking decisions. So his power will not grow in collectivist society. In individualist society, it will grow because the features such as he will take decision his own without consulting subordinates. He will be he will be more autocratic type. Still, those features will be respected, which will allow AK to grow his power. So what we have to say here is emphasize that if IPP is located in a country where there is a individualism culture, then it would have allowed AK to grow his power. So that explanation only you will be gaining lots of marks out of the specified 10 marks. Then we come to next explain masculinity versus femininity and contextualize. So in masculine cultures, people value assertiveness, competitiveness, material success, self-centeredness, power, strength, and individual achievement. For example, USA, Germany. In collectivist cultures, people value nurture and sensitivity, modesty, and concern for others. Denmark and Sweden. So we give an explanation what is meant by masculine culture and feminine culture. So, but we are going to gain more marks from relating to scenario or contextualize. Now, how we can contextualize that? If IPP operated in a country exhibiting a masculine culture, there would be a likely acceptance, even approval for AK's assertive way of working. AK will be even expected to exercise power, strength and courage. This would have given opportunity for AK to grow his power. In masculine culture, so he will be showing traits such as power, strength, achievement, etc. As a result, he would be autocratic type of CEO and chief executive. So all the power is given to him. So that is feature of masculine society. So subordinates are not bothered that when a person, when your boss is having lots of power. So when he got lots of power, thanks to masculine culture, it would have allowed him to grow his power. So that power later he misused. So in feminine culture, he will be expected to be concerned for others, etc. So that will not be in feminine culture. He will be expected to be more concerned for others, etc. So that if feminine culture exists in that country, it would not give more power to AK, so which he later misused. So then explain low versus high power distance and contextualize. In cultures of low power distance, people expect and accept power relations that are consultative and democratic. Example, Denmark and Austria. In cultures of high power distance, less powerful members accept power relations that are autocratic and paternalistic. For example, India and France. Now that is an explanation to the Hofstede cultural dimension. Now we are going to contextualize the enormous power accumulated by AK, his autocratic decision making and status as both chairman and chief executive of IPP would have been more readily accepted in countries where society reflected high power distance dimension. This apparent lack of challenge for his actions from within IPP may have been a product of respect held for a person with such high ranking. This would have paved way to grow AK's power. Now, if there is a high power distance, that means the AK will have very high power, whereas subordinates will have very less power. So that means subordinate will not question, subordinate will not challenge his decision. So it would have paved, it would have given chance, opportunity for AK to grow his power. But if there is a low power distance, then AK would be expected to be very friendly, he would be able to be accessed easily. So it will not give him chance to grow. So what we have to mention here is high power distance means that is where the AK will have much power, whereas his subordinates will have very less power. This means AK can misuse his power since he has lots of power, because there is no one to challenge his decision-making process or any his behavior. The last one is explain low versus high uncertain avoidance and contextualize. In cultures of low uncertain avoidance, people prefer flexible rules. For example, Denmark and Sweden. In cultures of high uncertain avoidance, people accept explicit formal rules. For example, Japan and Greece. In cultures where uncertain avoidance is low, there is more of an acceptance of absence of rules and regulation and acceptance of exception to the norm. It is true that countries exhibiting low uncertain avoidance would be more accepting the entrepreneurial ways of operating and autonomy exercised by AK. Lack of rules would have allowed AK to exercise power, eventually growing his power. Now, if there is low uncertainty avoidance, that means there will be few rules or flexible rules. It will give chance for AK to put his own rules. This means his power will grow, which is unlikely if there is a high uncertainty avoidance where there will be more rules. This will not give chance AK to put his rules. So our first episode is coming to an end. I'll see you on our next episode. Thank you.